So what's going on, guys? We are back here at Iconic Signs. As you can recall, that F750 back there is what you saw last time. But while I was here last time, Chris informed me that they have several other trucks as well. So I wanted to film the other truck they have, which is this 2017 Ram 5500 Cummins engine. This also has the Elliott crane on the back. Doesn't have quite the reach of the beast over there. What's going on, buddy?
Good. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Same here.
So, you guys purchased a Ram, and this kind of speaks to that whole point that when you're buying equipment, you're not really buying it for brand, you're buying it for capability and function. The 5500 is what they kind of consider the medium-duty truck, right? It's still a Class 4, Class 5 truck, but this specific truck is used for a different purpose than that specific truck. So, do you want to kind of take a moment to explain how you guys use this truck?
That is correct. Elliott came out with the M43, which their goal was to put on a lighter rig we can get into tighter areas with. Outriggers don't go out very far, so being they put it on the Ram 5500, and it does a wonderful job for us and gets into a lot tighter spaces than we would compared to our bigger truck out there.
And if I recall, you said you've had this truck for about 5 or 6 months?
Correct, about 5 or 6 months.
About 10,000 miles currently on it.
Got 10,500 miles on it,
okay.
And about 390 hours on it now.
So the question is, this truck is equipped with the Cummins turbo diesel. Do you prefer to try to get this truck out onto spaces before you dispatch like the F750? Or how does that work? Is it whatever truck's available? What generally goes in your thought process when dispatching a specific truck?
For the most part, this gets into a lot of tighter areas. Doesn't have the reach as my M60, but anything I can reach with this truck, we're gonna send the smaller truck out there first.
Yeah.
But if I can't reach it, we move on to our bigger one.
Okay. I'd be interested in, I don't know if you're the one to ask, but as far as fuel economy wise, are you seeing any big improvement of one truck over the other? Because the reality is they both have the same size engine in them, but of course the 750 being on a much larger frame is going to be a heavier truck. But as far as tracking fuel usage on both trucks, you know which one is less expensive to operate, or is it about the same? What would you say?
The fuel usage is about the same on both these trucks. What it really comes down to is idle time. So we try to drill in their mind just not to keep it running when they don't need it running, and that seems to be a problem we do see throughout some of the servicemen out here.
Well, I work with a lot of big trucking fleets, and one of the things I notice is that is just an industry problem. Everybody with big trucks on the road, they're always trying to drill into their guys. Don't idle your trucks if you don't need to. It puts unnecessary engine hours on them, but it also just wastes a ton of fuel. You waste about 1 gallon of fuel per hour that these trucks sit and idle. I see cities do this. I see everybody. So it's good to see that the folks here at Iconic take it seriously, and they try to instill in their employees' minds, don't idle the truck if you don't need to idle the truck. So I count 11 leaf springs. There are 9 in the main pack, and there are 2 thinner overload leafs. You can see it has an open C-channel frame. One of the big reasons for an open C-channel frame on a rig like this is to have a little bit of flex, but at the same time be able to support these vocational bodies, these boom bodies, a little easier, get them installed a little quicker. So Chris just informed me of a pretty cool characteristic of this setup. So what does it do?
This truck, being that we use a crane, if we get set up on top, so there may be times we want to turn the truck off. So we have the ability to start and stop the truck from the base or the basket at the end. We can also control the idle from a low to high idle to vary our hydraulic speed.
Okay, very cool. So he also informed me from the F750, it also has a unique ability to start and stop the generator from up top in the basket as well, because they have welding leads at the top so they can do welding if they're in the air when they're hanging signs and putting different pieces of equipment together. So what truck do you like better? Your honest opinion. I don't want any bias here. I want you to be completely open and honest with me. Out of these two trucks, if you had to buy another one and they would both get the same job accomplished, which truck would you prefer?
Personally, I've always been a Ford guy, but being I got both trucks here, they're both doing a wonderful job. They both got the power needed. It really just comes down to personal preference. They both produce a great amount of power each, and they're both doing a good job each.
That's good.
That's hard to say.
And that's a comment I make to a lot of my subscribers, is that these trucks have just become inherently reliable. They're good trucks. They're used in all sorts of commercial applications. Chris said he's a Ford guy. He actually has a fully deleted F250.
Correct.
And you had to delete it because of a lot of the problems you were having with it.
Correct.
So it's not as if he just deleted it because he wanted a hot rod truck. He deleted it because he had some of the traditional problems that people had with 6.4 liter power strokes. What year's your truck?
2008.
So it's a 2008 truck. That's actually the first year of that body style, and he's hung on to it, and it's cost him a lot of money to maintain that truck. So, you know, even though he's been a Ford fan, it doesn't mean he's had the best experience with Ford. So all that being said, they're buying the best piece of equipment that accomplishes the job they're trying to accomplish, and this is a good example of it. You have a Ram 5500 here, and you have a Ford F750 over there. He loves them both. They both get the job done real well. And would you agree that 10 years ago, if you'd been looking at trucks, you probably would have been more particular, more specific to a particular brand?
I would have been more toward the Ford. We've had Dodges in the past, and tend to have more transmission problems with the Dodges through our fleets, and we've had less problems with our Fords.
And you guys have been doing this for how long?
We've been in the business since 1935, actually.
They absolutely know and understand what trucks are capable of and how they use it. They're not going to buy a truck because of a brand. They're going to buy a truck because it returns investment to them, that it works out in the field, and more importantly, it's got to have the lowest possible maintenance cost. So the fact that they have a Ford, they have a Ram, and they have an International over there on the other side, but this is a really, really nice setup. Let's take a look at the inside of this truck real quick so we can give you an idea of what that is all about.
One thing to add, comparing the Ford and the Ram together, is what my installers also is like, is we got a little bit more luxury inside this cab, and a little bit more
refinement, comfort, right?
Yeah, refinement, comfort, and more state-of-the-art with Bluetooth as well, and electronic keys.
Yeah, so the interior of this truck is actually a little bit different. It feels a little bit more upscale than the Ford and a little bit more modern. If there's one piece of criticism I have against the F750, is that they really stuck with the old interior design of the 2011 through 2016 model, when they probably could have made it a little bit more refined, make it a little bit more modern. You know, he basically said his employees like driving around in this truck because it feels a little bit more high-end. It feels a little bit more comfortable. I know a lot of people out there will say that you just need the bare bones minimum in a work truck, but this kind of proves you wrong. These guys are up on lifts. These guys are working in pretty dangerous conditions, especially when it's windy outside. And it just goes to show everybody wants to come back to a nice, comfortable interior when they're done. And the Ram actually has a really nice interior.
Power windows and power locks make it nice.
Power windows, power door locks, has Bluetooth controls as well. That's a really, really good safety feature to have, especially on a commercial vehicle.
Correct. We do love to have that.
Take a moment to start the truck up. Now I can tell you it is a little bit louder inside than the 750. Just a little bit. Not a bad way. I mean, quite frankly, people who drive these trucks and use them aren't going to care. But it is just slightly louder on the interior than the F750.
That's for the PTO. Onetouch PTO.
It does have the Onetouch Pto, just like the F750, with your auxiliary upfitter switches right here. I just asked him the question. I wonder why they didn't use the button that actually says PTO on it, and he says they asked him the same thing, and I guess they all like to use the upfitter #1 switch for PTO.
I should have a safety advice too. If the brakes disengage and we're not engaged, the truck should cut off. You pull the brake off. Pull the handbrake. It's automatic. We'll disengage the PTO automatically.
Should it do that?
Yeah, it should do that. Yeah, you don't want to be driving with the PTO on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's hit the road and see how comfortable this thing is. with all this weight on the back of it, I'm sure it doesn't drive that bad, actually.
It actually doesn't, and the guys actually prefer this truck because, you know, we pulled some big trailers and some tractors with it, as well as our Ford. But just being a smaller rig, it's easier to get into tighter areas.
Oh, I bet.
A lot easier to maneuver.
Looks like you can see a little bit better around the sides of it, too. Again, guys, I've known Chris here at Iconic for probably going on about 7 years now, right? It's been a while.
Correct.
So it's always kind of been a company that I've wanted to come out to and get kind of an idea of what they do and how they operate. And my YouTube channel's given me the ability to have a reason to come out here and do all this. It doesn't drive bad at all, honestly.
It really doesn't. It drives really nice.
Guys, if you want my opinion on how this feels, and I gotta imagine we probably have nearly 8,000 pounds worth of weight in the back of it, but the way this truck feels, it almost feels like you're hauling a fifth wheel. It feels like you're hauling a trailer, where the trailer helps dampen the springs a little bit and makes it ride a little bit smoother. That's kind of the overall impression that I get being in the passenger seat of this truck. Quite frankly, it feels very similar to my F450, to be honest with you. So when we return in this truck, we're going to hop out of this truck and hop into the 750, which Chris just informed me he believes it drives a little smoother than this truck because of just the sheer weight of it, right?
Correct.
So a perfect example of how the Ram mirrors are definitely better in their deployed setup versus being folded down. When you have the mirror set up like this with the top mirror and the bottom mirror, your bottom mirror being your blind spot mirror, it just gives you much more visibility and it's much more convenient. You don't have that awkward view of when the spot mirror's off to the side. I really wish that Ram on their new heavy-duty trucks incorporates an always-up style mirror that can simply slide in and out versus this flip-down style mirror. Simply because I think they look better that way, but they also function better that way, which is definitely the more important reason.
We're talking to a few of my mechanics versus the 6.7 Cummins and like the 6.4 in my truck. After we did the modifications and delete, we're actually getting more performance and better, fuel economy out of the 6.4 with the upgrade.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about. No, and I've heard that too. Once you delete these trucks and you uncork them from the front and the back, and you give them the ability to actually breathe, they perform a lot better than they do. And that's going to be the same even for the 6.7 liter Power Stroke or even this Cummins. You can do the same modification to this Cummins and fully delete it, and you will just unleash the power of this truck. The problem is a lot of states are starting to crack down on it, especially from a commercial perspective. And you need as much of the warranty to be in place on all these vehicles as you can get. Just wanted to give you a moment here to see the difference in size between the 5500 Ram with the 43-foot boom on it and the 750 with the 60-foot boom on it. Massive trucks. We're gonna hop in the F750 now and take it for a ride. It is 47 mile an hour winds right now, guys, so it is very, very hard to record out here, so I'm trying to do the best I can to keep the audio from being completely outdone by the wind. I'm actually propped down right beside my truck just to block the wind, and I have a filter as well, which isn't very effective when it's this windy out here. Anyways, we're gonna hop in the truck, take it for a spin. Now we're in the 750. We're going to try to find another sign company with a boom truck and drag race it. All right. You feel safe driving this truck?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Seems as if everything's kind of small.
Yeah.
This only sits up about 3 feet taller than my 450. You know this truck is used for work when you have a hard hat, a beanie, safety glasses, and a headlamp on the dash.
But you can feel the weight difference in this truck.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the weight difference. You can definitely feel the power difference. It feels more sluggish.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower.
But it kind of makes sense. This truck has a gross vehicle weight rating, I think, of 25,000 pounds.
Right under CDL.
Right under CDL, 25, 26. I was looking it up, actually. So to operate this truck, you don't actually need a CDL, even though the truck itself needs to be, of course, registered as a commercial vehicle with a DOT number. But you always prefer to have a CDL driver in something like this, of course. I like how they put the sticker there. Elliot probably did that. 12 foot 6 inches tall.
Yes, with the basket.
You know, I've seen YouTube videos of people driving down the street with these with the basket up and hitting bridges.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see you guys on one of those videos.
No. And that's what's great about Elliot. They got so many sensors, or sensors that's got to be in place before the truck can even go again.
Yeah, what Chris was just reminding me is that with Elliot, you don't have to worry about accidentally leaving your boom up and running into an overpass like has earned so many laughs on YouTube when other people do that with their trucks. You pretty much have to have the basket completely down. You need to have the parking brake off, and once you turn the parking brake off, it disengages the PTO. So basically, it prevents the truck from moving or being in a state of moving if you have the basket up in the air.
Yeah, it's got many proximity switches all around the boom and the outriggers. That's got to be in its place before the truck will even stay running without the parking brake.
And a lot of that seems like common sense, honestly. You know, if you're going to have a company that makes trucks with cranes and booms and different things like that, it just makes sense to have as many safety protocols built into it as possible. The truck is quiet. It's a very quiet interior. Man, if you would have had an older Cummins in one of these trucks, or an older Detroit or something from 10, 15 years ago, you couldn't carry on a conversation.
This truck actually seems a little quieter than the Ram.
It does. It is a little quieter than the Ram. I've noticed that. And that's kind of one thing Power Stroke, or Ford at least, has been very proud of, is that their trucks seem to operate a little bit quieter. But I'll tell you something, people that are Cummins fans absolutely love the sound of the diesel in their Cummins. I don't know if I would personally care for it day in and day out if it's part of my job, but it's good to know that when you hop in a truck, it is quiet and it's not something you feel like you have to yell over. Now guys, this truck does drive smoother, absolutely does. And I'm not going to say it's because it's a Ford, I'm going to say because it's so much damn heavier. The truck is a much heavier truck. I bet you that Ram probably has about a 18,000, 19,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, and this one's going to be closer to about 26,000 pounds. So there's definitely much more weight on this truck and equipment.
They came with this truck exactly 1 pound under CDL.
Wow, so this is a 26,000 pound gross vehicle weight rated truck. It's 1 pound under CDL requirements, which is 26,001 pound.
Well, the problem is when we pull a trailer.
Yeah. Now, if you throw any trailer behind this truck, it could be a 1,000 pound utility trailer, it's going to put the gross combined vehicle weight rating of this vehicle over that magical 26,001 pounds, which means you would absolutely need a Class B CDL license to haul. It drives nice. Honestly, it drives smoother than my truck. Yeah, but again,
it drives very smooth because it's so big. You do see the power difference, but because we got more weight on here.
This truck doesn't have air brakes on it, does it?
Electric brakes.
Electric brakes. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed the video. I really want to take a moment and give Iconic Signs just a huge shout out for letting me come back out here and kind of video some of their equipment and take them out on the road. You know, really good folks out here. If you need any sign equipment, this is definitely the company you'd want to call. Plus, again, we're going to be working on some other projects because they have this massive manufacturing capability in this building. We have the ability to do some really cool things, and I think it would just be really cool to come up with some innovative truck products. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we will talk to you again soon.